Something big is brewing for the Red Wings as Steve Yzerman looks to make a big splash at this year's trade deadline. A star center in the league has just been linked to the Red Wings by multiple insiders, and this changes everything for the Red Wings trade plans, not just at this year's trade deadline, but looking into the future as well. We're going to break down exactly who this player is, what a return might look like, and how this changes everything for this Red Wings lineup moving forward. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Red Wings Digest. But before we get into all of that, guys, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. We've noticed that about 95% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with your Detroit Red Wings, it's free. Go down below, hit that free subscribe button. And if you're over on Facebook watching our content as well, hit that follow button. Make sure to follow us on all platforms so you can stay informed with what's happening with your Red Wings. But let's get into the first report of the day. And of course, this is a loaded one already. Right off the bat, we're starting strong. This is going to be a loaded episode, guys. But I have already mentioned this from Nick Kypreos, Detroit alongside Elias Pettersson from the Vancouver Canucks. One superstar centerman, Elias Pettersson, keep in mind. But they could be sniffing around on Robert Thomas as well. Now, keep in mind, where Robert Thomas, there's been a lot of dispute amongst insiders in terms of, is he actually available for one? And for two, what are they asking for him? It sounds like Detroit is kicking tires on a lot of things, and it sounds like the Blues are kicking tires in terms of what's our player worth, and we want a lot. I don't know if that happens. I will say off the bat, for the sake of this video, there's been a lot of dispute. We're going to focus on Pettersson in this one, but Robert Thomas would make a lot of sense for this Red Wings team. That would make a ton of sense, but of course the return would be astronomical compared to a guy like Pettersson. And let's get into why. Now, you have new reports here from the president of the Canucks, Jim Rutherford, on what's happening and what their plans are at this year's trade deadline. And take a look at some of what he says here. He says, we'll be as active as possible if in fact something makes sense for our return. We're not out looking to just give away players, but you know, he said, I don't know how many young players, mid-20s to younger than that, are going to be available that we can acquire, but we're going to look at all possibilities. Now, the Detroit Red Wings have a couple of young players that a lot of teams are very interested in. Like, if the Red Wings want to make a splash, and whether you like it or not, I mean, I think Marco Kasper is a great player, and we'll get into that in a little bit too in terms of specifics. In any trade scenario, almost any trade scenario at this year's trade deadline, if you want to get a player of substance that's going to do anything impactful for this team, the team that you're trading with is asking for Marco Kasper. We know that. That's what's been out there for so long at this point. Marco Kasper, if you want to do anything of substance at this year's trade deadline, may no longer be a Detroit Red Wing. Now, would you trade him for Elias Pettersson? I think that could actually make some sense. It could actually make some sense. So the Canucks say right now, you can see this from Jim Rutherford, everything is on the table for that team. They're looking to trade pretty much everything if besides younger players, if the deal is right. The Red Wings have a ton of draft capital, and they also have a bunch of really skilled young players that they can make this happen. The other thing that the Red Wings have that no other team has in terms of competitive advantage is how much cap space this team has. And we'll get into that in a second as well. But let's get into the player that, you know, could be acquired in this deal. Hasn't had a fantastic year in terms of being a superstar or what he once was. We've seen flashes of greatness from this player. Maybe things have gotten stale in Vancouver. The team stinks. There was a lot of stuff going on last year with JT Miller in that organization. He's played 50 games so far this year, and he has 35 points. That's not a superstar, right, at this point. That's a guy that's just chugging along. He's struggling. He's a minus 16. Of course, it's a bad team as well. You have to keep that in mind. You can take a look at some of this, though. I mean, he's a very dynamic offensive player, and he can be, I think, in this league, a number one center. Now, would it be the number one center on this team? I don't think Dylan Larkin's losing a spot, but man, if you're talking about acquiring a center at the trade deadline, why would you go out and get a rental if you can get a guy like this that, you know, in theory, if it does work out, change of scenery works out, mentally he's back in it, all of these things, super dynamic offensive player, he would look great as a second line center. Now, there is one caveat, of course. This guy makes a ton of money, and for a long time. He makes $11.6 million. Yes, you are looking at that correctly. $11.6 million, and he's in only year 2 of an 8-year contract. Now, that's not bad considering his age. He's 27. The cap is going up $10 million every summer now, and he makes 11.6. In a few years, a player of this caliber, of course, if we're looking at stats from not this year and what he's done in the past, would be worth way more, 14, 15 million dollars. So in theory, as years go on, if he can get back to his level of play that we know that he can play at, the contract doesn't look that bad. So I don't hate it, and I think you're locking him down for years. Now, if the return is astronomical, I don't know if this makes sense, because you're taking on a player that is a big question mark at this point in time with a lot of salary, right? That could make almost no sense. But in theory, I kind of like the fit. I think it could make some sense on that second line. The other thing is, when you're looking at the cap space, you can make this happen this year. You can make this happen and go out and do another trade. And we were also talking about Tyler Myers on the channel. I want to get into that. I wonder if you're looking at a 2-4 trade. Like, there's a lot of smoke. We were talking about Jake DeBrincat. A lot of smoke between the Vancouver Canucks and the Detroit Red Wings. That's all I'm saying. Now, the Red Wings have a ton of cap space that can make this work. Next year, in terms of projected cap space, you got a ton. I mean, you got like $38 million to work with. It's a joke, right? Like, you have all your young talent locked up to long-term deals, and you have a ton of cap space to work with. Now, that doesn't mean you want to blow it all. You want to give yourself some flexibility, of course, but at the same time, you can do something pretty significant here. And in terms of, giving up younger players, giving up draft assets, if you're making the playoffs this year and you look like you're going to be a contender for the next couple of years and you want to make a splash, you have the draft picks to do that. You can afford to trade a first-round pick if you want, if it looks like you're going to make a splash in a wide open, honestly, Eastern Conference, besides maybe Tampa Bay and maybe Carolina at this point. So makes some sense to me. If you're looking at the lineup, and that's probably, I flash it up there as a, just a sneak peek there as a tease. I'll get to that in a second, like who the Canucks might be looking at. But if you look at the lineup, man, if you can lengthen this lineup down the middle with Larkin and Pettersson, and you don't give anything up of too much consequence, maybe you're giving up Kasper, I think it could make some sense moving forward. Again, if Pettersson can get back to his level of play, but we don't know that. That is a question mark, and that's the risk you're running here. So do I think it makes sense? Do I think that they can do it with the current cap situation? Yes, 100%. You could. Do I think it's a good idea and that they should do it? I think for the Red Wings right now, with the type of player that he is right now, with how many question marks there are, I don't know if this makes sense. I want to hear what you have to say in the comments below, though. Let me know how you feel about it. I would go to do something else. I think I would go acquire a different player. I'm looking at a Vincent Trocheck, a guy that can help you in the playoffs. But if you're thinking long term, if you're thinking longer term, and maybe getting a little bit younger and you still have that superstar punch that could come back, Pettersson could make some sense. And maybe you get him on the cheap because he's not performing and his cap hit is so much. And when I say on the cheap, they're still going to want great young players like a Kasper, for example. A lot of teams are also looking at Carter Bear. A lot of teams are looking at him. Don't trade him. Do not trade that guy. Keep that guy in the organization. I don't think he should be dangled at all. But for the Canucks and their cap situation, this makes a lot of sense for them as well. They're looking to add some more draft capital as well. They're looking to just stock the cupboards. They have 2 firsts. They have 2 seconds this year. They're continuing to stock their cupboards with more moves. They've traded Quinn Hughes. They made a couple other trades. Apparently Brock Besser could be had as well. And when you're looking at another guy that they have that could be traded to the Red Wings, there was multiple reports yesterday, and we covered it in a video, that Tyler Myers, there is a trade on the table for Tyler Myers. Like, Steve Yzerman has something tabled, and Tyler Myers has trade protection, and he hasn't waived to come over yet. There's something that is holding this up, but I don't think it's necessarily a return or anything like that. Now, you might be wondering, why Tyler Myers? This makes no sense. He's 36 years old. He's big. He might be a bit slow. He's a little bit cheaper than some of the options and other options out there, like a Justin Falk, for example, in both salary and obviously a return. So that, could make some sense for me, but I don't know if it's the best option either. So there's a lot of smoke around this right now. And Tyler Myers, of course, makes $3 million for it, not just this year, but next year as well. He comes with some term. And there was this report, just to show you guys too, that there is a deal that the Canucks like on the table from the Red Wings, but Tyler Myers hasn't signed off on it yet. So they are actively looking at this point. At the time this video comes out, maybe they've made the trade already, but they're trying to make a trade with the Canucks already. I wonder if they're kicking tires on Jake DeBrincat and on Elias Pettersson as well. It'll be very interesting to see what ends up happening. But let me know in the comments how you feel about that. Would you go after Elias Pettersson? I think it's steep. I think you go after a guy, if you're looking to upgrade at center, you go after a guy like Vincent Trocheck, who has some offensive punch. Definitely one of the better two-way centers available, maybe the best available right now. And in terms of defense, I think there's other options out there. And I think you desperately need to add one more piece on the back end at this trade deadline. And is it Tyler Myers that puts you over the hump? I don't know, but we know for sure one thing. There is some smoke around the Vancouver Canucks and the Detroit Red Wings. Let me know how you feel in the comments below. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything Red Wings.